It's v.h.s.x? What do you mean?
So we're here back again with another Binding of Isaac video, which is a much older gameplay. I noticed that I didn't have that many character unlocks. We're actually starting with Judas, one of the hardest hitting starting characters you can actually get your hands on, I believe. I think you unlock him if you get like 3 devil deals in a single run. Can't remember. But he comes with the Book of Belial, so that gives you a damage boost when you activate it. It takes 3 rooms to charge. Pretty good stuff. He has also 1 heart, so he can get hit pretty hard, pretty quickly. And one of the biggest things you want to do with Judas is obviously use your Book of Belial in tough rooms like this one. Don't want to take a lot of damage, especially at the early game, because you will lose very, very quickly. So here we are once again. Now, if you guys have been enjoying the Isaac content, definitely stay tuned. We got plenty more runs coming. Obviously, we alternate between Dead by Daylight and the good old Binding of Isaac at the same time. Now, one of the biggest things we're going to focus on when we're playing a character like this is obviously trying to get as much health as we can, getting damage, things like that. Those are very useful stuff. Now, this room, gotta be careful. Don't want to take damage. We checked the shop, which, as you can see right off the bat, we find ourselves a Spirit Heart for 5 cents. It's exactly what we want. That's pretty much the start of a good run. If you can get health with Judas pretty early, that would be very useful, very good. Now this room can be a little bit challenging, but you don't want to panic. We did end up taking damage there, and then we lost our Spirit Heart pretty much immediately because I just simply did not have the right pathing. Now this was definitely one of the earlier runs. Because I've been playing this game for a very good amount of time, and I've recorded quite a few over the course, but I figure I would want to at least post this one just so that we can continue to see sort of the progression as to how we definitely get up there. And I will be creating a playlist for the Binding of Isaac, so for those of you who do want to continue to watch more Isaac content and other alternative things, you definitely will have a nice little playlist to go with it. So that you can have it on, in the background if you want for the commentary, or you can watch it to kind of watch a little bit more Isaac, because Isaac is always fun for me to personally watch. Now we did end up taking a hit here in the boss, but we obviously didn't die, which is good. Like I've said before, you definitely want stuff like health, which PJs gives you 4 Spirit Hearts. So we were able to go from 1 heart to about 5. We could have probably had 6 if I didn't actually take damage there. So what I did was I went out of the room to reset it, so I would have a chance to be able to run through a little bit faster. Now here, what we're trying to do is get that tinted rock, so we can get even more Spirit Hearts and really get a strong start. And that's what we're trying to do. Now what I'm trying to do also is maybe push the barrel away so that I'm able to use the barrel to maybe use it on the gray chest over there on the right hand side. What I think I probably could have done if I could have, I would have probably tried something else maybe. If I did have a bomb, I would go for the golden chest, but we did not obviously do that. Ended up getting 1 penny out of it, so not a huge deal, not really much that we can do there. So we continue on. Judas is definitely a very tricky character to play, especially when you have such a he's one of the highest damage on base kit to start with, and that's what kind of makes him very unique in that sense. But obviously you do end up kind of missing out on health. So if you are starting out on Isaac, it can be a little bit tricky to kind of get used to, especially if you do end up taking a lot of hits. Not as bad as the Lost, but we haven't actually been able to unlock the Lost as of yet. Now I did unlock the Lost, I believe, around Rebirth, Afterbirth. But with Repentance, I'm not really too sure what happened there. I don't know what happened to my save file. But either way, we're starting essentially from scratch, give or take. You know, plus or minus a few unlocks. So here we are in another like somewhat tough room. We definitely want to activate our Book of Belial as soon as possible. We definitely don't want to lose the run. We don't want to lose Spirit Hearts. But I did go through the rest of the floor. I must have dropped down actually from the last floor, I believe. That would have made more sense to do so. Now, what I tried doing is finding the boss as soon as possible so that I don't end up taking red heart damage, because then you lose your devil deal opportunity. So there's a 100% chance at the first, second floor rather. After that, it goes down to 33%. But you're at least able to get a good start if you get a pretty good devil deal from the beginning. So we're going against Pin, definitely one of the easier bosses in the game. We also got our devil deal. We got a little bit of a range up with Mom's heal, so that's not super amazing. But as you can see there, I figure we have either the Ouija board or the that fear shot. I forget what that thing is called. I think it's dark matter or something like that. So I was really trying to kind of evaluate, like, is it worth trying to go for? I ended up picking up the Ouija board, which is unfortunate. But dark matter does give you damage up, so I figured I'll just take the damage up. And I didn't really want to take the Ouija board. But it does give you spectral tears, so it does go over rocks and stuff like that. So as you can see, we're taking out the spiders pretty well. We already know that our damage is already at 7. So with Book of Belial, it goes up to about maybe 10 or so. So we hit pretty hard once we even have our Book of Belial charged. I also kind of like the look on his face, which is pretty funny. It's pretty scary. Pretty scary looking. It's pretty fun. And yeah, we're able to shoot over rocks and stuff. So having the Ouija board does give you also a tears up, so that does mean you'll be able to shoot with some larger tears. And we got Pyromaniac, which is an okay item. It's one of the best items in the game, I would say. At least in my opinion, a very at least high tier item. Now, I would have taken the Bible here, but obviously that wouldn't have been the most effective thing to do, because we just like having damage is a lot more important than having flight. But if it was specifically just to kill the mom boss, which I had bought it and actually left with it, surprisingly. I guess I just didn't realize. But we continue on with the run, of course. Now, what I did was I actually used the Bible there to gain flight, to be able to fly into the first room without actually being able to take damage, which is really good. Ended up taking an extra hit there because it was a mimic chest, but we also got ourselves Guppy's head, which means we got one Guppy item, and then we also used the other card to be also not take any damage leaving the curse room. Really trying to conserve our health on a character that doesn't really have much of it. Now I think what I ended up trying to do was go back and pick up the Book of Belial. Like, I was really trying to find a way to conserve as much health as possible, so I'm able to continue the run, which I think I was considering picking up the Book of Belial, so I went back and forth, but then I realized, well, I might as well just take it with me. Because of the fact that having flies versus having a flat damage boost for a boss room or whatever room I needed to have will actually be just much more beneficial. Having at least 10 damage, especially in the early game, is going to help out a lot. Because one of the best defenses is having a strong offense in this game, so you definitely want to be able to do that. Now we're just breaking some poops in case maybe they drop spirit hearts, coins, anything like that. And then we also find ourselves by the item room, so we definitely want to see what we get. Or is it the treasure room? I forget what it's called, but I think it's an item room. Either way, we go make our way in. We find ourselves with the I don't even remember what the heck that does. Explosivo, apparently. Now the cool thing about Explosivo is because we have Pyromaniac. Now. What I hadn't realized at the time, because I was kind of messing around with the reroll machine there, is that if I wanted to, I could have re-rolled the item, you know, on the pedestal there to have something a little bit more effective. But Explosivo is actually a pretty good item. It will latch on to the enemies and start to expand until eventually it explodes. So, and then because I have Pyromaniac, if I'm assuming that, which I don't think it would have done damage to me anyway. But having Pyromaniac is also kind of fitting for it. In case it did, it wouldn't do any damage to me, so I'm able to just kind of be near the explosions. Realistically, it probably doesn't really synergize. Maybe it really just doesn't, who knows. But ultimately, it is still pretty good. Breaking all the poops as well, just in case we get some extra coins. Now, we'll say Isaac, definitely one of the most interesting games I've played. And I do plan on posting way more of these in the future. But right now, we're focused on a Judas run. Which, at the start of playing Isaac, one of the most important things that I was focusing on was trying to take out the mom's heart fight. Like at least 10 to 11 times, so you can start to unlock new floors, new bosses, and enemies. And because we're trying to reach the 100% for all 3 save files, and this is the first one, we're just really on our road there. We're really trying our best to do that. We definitely want. Oh, and then we also got the Hierophant card, which gives us just a bit more spirit hearts. We're really being kept alive with our items here. We end up fighting this guy, and as you can see, our damage increases to about 10, and we can also stand behind the rocks and use our spectral tears, which these rocks actually help block the yellow shots that he's kind of spewing out, which you want to avoid taking as much damage as we can. And we also get the tears upgrade from that as well. Now, one thing I'll also mention is that the Book of Belial does passively give you an increased devil deal chance. So it simultaneously gives you not only that, but also the added bonus. As you can see, we're also able to shoot over the rocks, which means that we can also get that tinted rock, which also won't do any damage to us. What I figured was I should be able to press the button so that I'm able to actually get the extra spirit heart, because we're essentially playing with no red hearts, meaning we can't regenerate any of our health, but ideally we won't be taking much damage, especially because we have multiple damage upgrades. We have a very good amount of damage on base. We're going to the arcade just to see what's available to us, but there's not really anything that we really can get any advantage on. I figured we at least try the beggar. Maybe they might give us something. But it didn't seem like he was going to do that. Now, at this early stage of the game, I was definitely trying to experiment a little bit and see what I can get away with. But as the game continues and as I get more character unlocks and complete more challenges, as you're going to see over the course of the videos, you're going to see a lot more interesting runs. Which, not to say this run in itself isn't very interesting, but it gets even more interesting because there's be more items, more chances for different things to occur. I had forgotten I had Pyromaniac. Now we also are getting a lot of bomb upgrades, so it would have been nice to have a bomb item of some kind that would allow me to either shoot bombs or anything like that, so that Pyromaniac could be used to its fullest extent, but we are able to at least upgrade our bombs. We end up going against Greed, which is fine. It's good to just get it out of the way. And it also gives us a lot of money, so that we can definitely use that on a donation machine if we can get it. We can find one, or we can use it on a shop if we can find one. We did end up going to the shop and ended up finding Greed, unfortunately, so which I think he just kind of pops up. So I figured, well, there's no shop in here. We can at least get a HP upgrade. Which was a can of cat food, so that is pretty cool. And I think it was called Supper. But anyway, we're also going against these guys that are like shooting the worm things out and about. We're just able to clear them out pretty easily. We do have the little bomb shot thing, Explosivo value, flying right back into the enemy, doing extra damage over time. We're getting some consumables and stuff like that. We're really starting to really build up some momentum in this run. Being able to, you know, get everything that we're getting, quite useful for us. I was also checking for maybe a secret room. I was still learning the like the locations, which I think I still am learning some of the locations. Cartridge as a trinket. Cartridge as a trinket. Now, what this does is that it has a chance of allowing the game kid, you know, I can't. It's not a transformation, but like the game kid effect. Essentially, you like kind of look like Super Mario with the star power up. You know, you're like invincible for a little while. You can deal damage and run into people and stuff. Run into the enemies rather, deal damage for a little while. Now, because of the game cartridge, the Squeezy also gives us tears up and more spirit hearts, so we're like really going pretty far here. But the game cartridge is one of the most useless trinkets in the game, I would say. Like the effect chance, I think, is maybe a 5% at most, just to allow invincibility for a little while. I don't know if it's on I don't know if it's on damage taken or something like that. I can't remember exactly. We also do end up taking the pills there just to see what they do. I usually end up taking the chance with stuff like that just to see what I'm able to pull off, what I'm able to get, which is usually detrimental to a lot of runs. That's why Kane is definitely one of my more, like, you know, one of my favorite characters as of yet, because Luckfoot is just an interesting item to have, especially when you can just grab any pill and get free stats. So we do have the Are You a Wizard effect and the other pill we just took, so that makes our tiers go diagonally from both sides of us. And hopefully these subscriptions are very helpful to you guys who maybe don't know much about Isaac. And I would hope that it's, you know, it's informative. So maybe if you do end up trying the game, you can at least come in with some knowledge, you know what I mean? Because it can be very daunting to start a game like this from scratch, especially with the base game. And how it evolves between the DLCs. If you do end up getting all the way up to Repentance, you're going to be in for a shock compared to base game and compared to just Afterbirth or Afterbirth Plus, etc. You're going to be, you know, in a bit of a shock because everything kind of changes between the DLCs. But we are playing on the current, you know, game available to us, so it is, you know, what it is. Now, you can also even tell by my settings that I wasn't really doing the most optimal settings either. Now, usually I recommend, you know, having your, not only your map opacity be all the way up, so you're actually able to see the map when you do play, press the map button so you can see the whole map. My opacity was very low. Also, the items, you know, on the screen are also very zoomed in. I usually try to go for, nowadays I try to go for a more like, you know, the other setting that makes it minimal, so that it's able to kind of see all the items all together without having to take up too much of the screen, and also so I can actually see what items I've collected up to this point, so that I'm able to kind of figure out on the fly if there's a transformation coming up or anything like that. Because there are various transformations that you can obtain in this game. A common one is definitely going to be the Guppy transformation. You essentially turn into Isaac's dead cat. You kind of float around and you can generate a lot of flies and stuff like that, and usually you'll know how that would go. You can usually tell how that's going to go with the items that you end up getting. They usually are cat related. You know, it'll say Guppy in the name, like Guppy's collar, Guppy's head, Guppy's tail, Guppy's eye, you name it, right? So now, if you get 3, you can get the Guppy transformation. You gain flight, fly generation, maybe a couple other things. Another one that you may see in some of the videos is going to be the bookworm transformation. So if you pick up 3 books in a run, you can actually get access to that transformation, which I don't really know what it does, but now I was trying to avoid taking damage there, but unfortunately we just kind of had to, so that is okay. We picked up the Diplopia, so it does duplicate pedestal items and other things like that. But I was really trying to find an optimal place to use it, as it would be smart to use it, you know, on an item that maybe generates, you know, maybe stacks of some kind, or, you know, any stats, I should say, or anything like that. But either way, we're also not on the fast track for boss rush. Now, that's another thing that I need to actually prioritize when I'm actually going for unlocks, even nowadays. Is definitely going to be, doing that. Is trying to get more, you know, unlocks like that. I know that boss rush, you know, which what it does is that you can, if you're fast enough and you beat the mom boss, right? Like you beat the mom's foot, I guess. Quick enough, you're able to access boss rush, which will, you know, have four items available to choose from, and after you select an item, then that's when it starts the boss rush. So essentially you'll be able to go against all the bosses in the game, or at least a good majority of them, and try to fight your way through with what you have kind of locked in, so you can't really escape it. But which in most cases the item is not that effective, but it is required for 100%, and so it is best to utilize that when you have a really good run. Now I plan on doing boss rush and other things like that once I'm able to unlock more items and things like that. I unfortunately was not able to use Diplopia for anything valuable in the run, so I figured I just have to continue on. We end up going against Monstro, so we use our little card there to give us Spectral. The Psychic Tears, I think, so that they will just automatically float in towards the enemies. We also unlocked a new floor type, Necropolis, because of that. And we also find ourselves with Brimstone, one of the best devil items in the game. Arguably one of the most well-known and one of the most important, you know, items in the game, I should say. Basically ensuring that we're going to win this run. Now, the Gimpy item also does generate Spirit Hearts, as well, which I was trying to pick up Diplopia instead. I figured that maybe there could be something in the next floor. It's a bit of a bold choice, I would say. Bit of a bold choice, as Book of Belial would just overall be better, but I figure with Brimstone being a thing and because of our current stats, we'll be able to just kind of fly around and just clear out the floors pretty quickly. So, pretty good stuff. We also have Pyromaniac, so that bomb is relevant to us. And then we're just trying to find the item room, trying to find the boss. I do definitely hate rooms like these with like all the spike blocks and freaking suck. And we also get ourselves Headless Baby, which is not, you know, the best thing in the world, but, you know, it's fine. It's a little bit of creep, you know, a little familiar that drops creep. Ain't nothing wrong with that, per se. Now, you do have to be careful with a room like that. We also can get a Spirit Heart at half price, so that's actually quite good for us. We can't afford anything else anyway. And this is when I use Diplopia, so I'm able to actually double up on the items there. I was also able to get an extra Spirit Heart, so we were actually able to get 2 hearts for the price of 1. A little bit more coinage. I figure what I could have done also was just like donate the rest of the coins, because we weren't going to find a shop anytime soon. Now, this is definitely a very productive run, I would say. There also are other runs that I haven't really, that I may not post, because they are, you know, mainly just unlocks, and they might not be the most interesting runs. I try to, you know, record the ones that do, you know, provide an interesting experience to, you know, to commentate over, as well as just like an interesting unlock and something like that. So, went to the spirit room. We got the sausage item, so we do get like a nice stat boost to everything. So we definitely always want to have like good stats and stuff like that. That is always important. It's essentially a one run, as they say. We already won pretty much. right? Like, and it's all about just ending the run at this point. Like, we're just trying to get to the end, but we are kind of going around and clearing out rooms and stuff like that, which is probably not really necessary, but you know, I still wanted to check the curse room, which I probably should just went for the boss and continued on. I mean, save a little bit of time. But either way, we continue on. We continue on the road. So, we also do have Poison Touch from the other item we had picked up at the very beginning of the run. We would have been able to see that on the screen, but we didn't have the setting on at the time. So, we go ahead and take out that little skull thing. Now, I'm not entirely sure why I was going through every room. I don't know if I figured that maybe I'd be able to like scoop another item or something like that. Realistically, I probably, which I actually did. Who would have thought? I ended up getting dessert, which was like dog food or something. So that's cool. That's alright. You know, and then PokeGo, what that does is gives us randomly, between the rooms, it'll spawn an enemy that's you know, on our side essentially. We spawn little allies from the enemies that we do end up fighting ourselves. So as you can see, like, it'll occasionally say, "Oh, a fat bat appeared," or you know, whatever have you, and then it'll help you in combat. Now Gimpy value, because we are able to get our spirit heart back after taking a hit. We are going against a champion mom, so it's actually a blue one, which I'm not too sure what the effects are, but in due time I will. Now, I was still learning the fight, so I was making a lot of mistakes, but I can rest assured that over time I have definitely, you know, gotten a lot better with it. But I can definitely see I was really trying to figure it out at the time. We also are utilizing a controller, so it can be a little bit challenging to utilize a little bit, you know, some of the quick changing directions of things. And we also are getting some value from you know, the touch and stuff like that. We also got dinner, which is another can of dog food and stuff like that. Overall, I would say, you know, I did okay. We still have a very decent chance of a devil deal, so we still, you know, can at least use the HP to transfer over for something, you know, trade it out for something very powerful, hopefully, to really run out the run. Now we're in the womb floor, so that is where we want to be, because that's when we're going to end up finding the mom's heart, which we definitely want to be able to kill those as much as possible. And then, after you kill mom's heart like 10 times, then you'll unlock the boss It Lives. So it changes its appearance. I think it makes it stronger and stuff like that. And we're also obviously always playing on hard mode. We never really play on normal mode. There's only been like one run that I have recorded that it has been on technically normal mode, but that was just because of the greed. The greed mode doesn't have greedier unlocked, I think, until you win some greed runs. So in that sense, once that video goes up, you'll be able to see the greed run that we've done, or rather that I've done. But yeah, so either way, Brimstone is a great item, obviously. You also find the boss pretty quickly. Now at this point of the recording, I was still learning the game quite a bit, so I figured that we can, I don't know why I was continuing on. I guess I just didn't realize that there wasn't really much left to look for, because usually when you end up in a floor like this, there's no item room, there's no shop. There's probably like secret rooms, but it's not really worth going for, because you just ultimately want to get rid of the boss and move on to the next floor. As that's usually, as you can see right there, it's like a Viz appears, or a Viz. That appears, so that's what PokeGo does. Now I would say we were doing alright, doing some dodging. You know, it is good to go through rooms and get your dodges in, get practice. Ultimately. Ended up taking a whole hit there, which is really unfortunate. I probably didn't even have to take that damage if I had just gone for the boss and just went for that, so I ended up just teleporting out and trying to get out of there, because it just wasn't worth trying to take all the damage for no reason at all. So that was a bit unfortunate. So that is lessons to learn when you are starting this game. When you find the boss, try to get him out of the way, you know, unless you unless you're like in a bad spot. But I have brimstone and everything else, and I was just kind of exploring the floor for pretty much no reason. I mean, I don't really think it was necessary. So either way, we start making our way back around. We end up finding this guy, which I should have looked at the name of it, just so that it would have been more interesting, because it is indeed, I think, a fetus of some kind, or an embryo, some kind of thing like that, that we end up like taking out here. And then we get consolation prize, which actually gives us a little bit more tears, actually, so that's pretty good. And as you can see, we have a nice array. We go for Spirit of the Night to give us some flight, and we went for Goat Head so we can continue to get devil deals. And I figured that it's a good time to just walk out of there before we randomly take more damage. Now, we'll admit it was a little greedy, but I also probably could have just taken out the boss and not have to worry about having such low health. So in this situation, I definitely figured that even though my back was essentially against the wall in this situation, we're still able to potentially make a comeback as a result of that. Now, what the cool thing is that our little familiar here, with the big guy shooting the brimstone, is essentially just another brimstone alongside my brimstone. So you just love brimstones. Just double brim, you know, why not? Went for Hermit to try to give me a little bit of a boost to see if I can get closer to the boss room, because I learned my lesson. Now, I will say that Pyromaniac means you're immune to explosions. I don't believe it heals you. I don't remember what item that does. I remember a while ago that, like, when I was playing the game, there was definitely an item that heals you when you get hit with an explosion, but I think it's only red heart damage. So nothing too crazy when you only have a spirit heart for your name and a red heart. So now, Goat Head, if you didn't know what that does, because I picked that up in the room there. Rotten Penny, that's actually not bad. Rotten Penny, I think, is if you pick up pennies, you have a chance of getting a fly to help you. But what Go Ahead does, and it's a pretty good item, essentially is that you'll have 100% devil deal chance, regardless if you take red heart damage on any floor. So ideally, it's best to get it on an early floor so that you can go between all the floors and continue to rack up extra devil deals, because the devil deals usually tend to have a lot of damage, a lot of more very offensive options. Now the leash trinket that you saw there, I think it keeps like your trinkets, like I mean not your trinket. I think it keeps your familiars like closer to you or something like that. I forget. I think they still can move around, but they just don't stray too far away. I forget exactly how it works. And then it says the Frowning Gaper has a healer, so it does kind of help. As you can see, it does kind of help. You find a little boss, a little mini boss. The 404 trinket, as you see there, does absolutely nothing. Like quite literally, it does literally nothing for you. Hematemesis. I already forgotten what it does, but I just do know that it does absolutely nothing. Like genuinely nothing. So now we're just clearing out extra rooms, which I don't really know why. Now, clearing extra rooms would make more sense if I did have an active item. I think that's what they call it. Essentially a spacebar item, if you will. Which I picked up the error thing as well, assuming it would do something. It doesn't. It does not. I did end up doing the research. It does not do anything. But we were still looking for the boss. It's usually best to go for, child leash. Yeah, I thought 404 was a little bit different. Unless I picked up that again? I forget. I was like trying to figure out what the heck it does. But I think essentially, as you can see, this is Mom's Heart. So this boss is a little bit different. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's easier. I don't know if that's like a thing or because their pattern looks really strange. Their pattern looks really strange here. I did end up probably taking a hit, essentially, but we were able to clear out the boss pretty quickly here. And I do know that the chest, it was the end the run. I was at 1 heart, so I didn't want to continue on to the I think it's Sheol, I forget. Like, I forget what it's called. But I didn't continue on to Sheol because I figured that it just wouldn't be worth it. And as you can see by the ending here, it's like a big mom hand that comes out and says everything is terrible, the game just got harder, Shadow Baby as well. And that pretty much concludes the video for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe to all the YouTube things for me. Become a member for exclusive content, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.